All right. We're back. Hey there, high level enthusiasts, marketers, and SaaSpreneurs. JB here, and you're tuned in to the podcast that's all about taking your high level game to new heights. Each week, I will bring top industry experts within the high level community who dive deep into the strategies that drive success specifically for high level users like yourself. Whether it's getting more customers, leveling up your knowledge, or supercharging your high level with new strategies, we've got you covered. So without further ado, I put together an episode here with an amazing gentleman by the name of Mark Helton, the founder of Hot Prospector. And this episode is time, money, and appointments. And in this episode, we put together 3 important parts that we want to get to you with some actionable insights and things you could do to make your sales process better. The first one is identifying the right talent. The second is onboarding and booking appointments for that new talent, whether it's an SDR or an appointment setter. And third, this one hits home for many. Do not get taken advantage of as an agency. We're going to give you some of the red flags, some of the information to be aware of to protect your business, your other employees, and your customers. So without further ado, Mark Helton, welcome, man. It's finally great to have you. For those that are tuned in right now, go ahead and type in tuned in. Mark, could you share a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and why sales is something you love?
Hey, John, thank you so much. So I'll get right into it. I started my agency back in 2010 after being in the mortgage business for uh, the destruction of the mortgage business back in 2008. I really wasn't sure what I was going to start selling at that moment. I've been in sales for forever, but I just didn't know what else to sell. So somehow I stumbled across an ad where somebody was trying to teach how to start up your own agency, and I couldn't believe that people would actually pay for those things that I've been doing for myself for all these years. So started my own agency, did really well at getting clients, and it inspired me to build a tool or a set of tools to help agencies with going out and getting more business for themselves. So sales is my passion. I love it. Everything from scripting to closing. I love to be involved in the whole process.
So, if do you mind sharing a little bit of how you got into sales? Like, was it more in person that you started? Was it more virtual? Like, how did that whole flow? Like, because when you say sales, man, some people are probably cringing right now. Like, I'm not sales. That's not my style. How did that start for you? And how did you continue to embrace it?
So I was actually the same. Oh, well, actually, I got lucky because I didn't know. It's kind of like falling into the deep pool, the deep end of the pool, and then I just had to do it. I was working as a short order cook, and I was barely getting by. My sister got a job at this B2B sales organization. Back then, they were just selling phone services to businesses, and they were offering a really good hourly pay structure and this thing called commission, which I'd never heard of. She said, come down here and apply. They're hiring people who have no experience because they want to train you how to do sales. Just didn't have any negative feedback on sales. And so I just said, okay, fine. I went down, applied, I got hired, went through the first week of Hell Week, they called it, this training where they were like, memorize this, learn this, all this stuff for like a week. And they just crammed all this information into my head. And then after a week, they took us out. It was kind of like a scene from Boiler Room. I don't know if you ever
I
saw
was
that
just gonna
movie.
ask you, what's your favorite sales? I was thinking of that when you said Helbig. I'm like, he's going for it.
Yep, Boiler Room. I mean, they brought us out onto the floor and it was like everybody screaming and chanting. It's a sea of desks. They had a DJ, balloons, music blowing, and it was like, welcome, fresh meat. Everybody's like, it was crazy. Anyways, I got into this thing. It was really fun. It was kind of like, real team atmosphere. We were always about, positivity, learning and growing, researching everything you could about sales. So I don't know. I got lucky. I went into the perfect company who taught me everything, and ever since then, it's just taken me everywhere.
Yeah, man. It's you know, I don't want to date myself, right? But I'm an 80s baby. So, I got a chance to watch some of those old school sales movies. And these are movies like you really can't find on Netflix and all these different sites. But Boiler Room, I never got to ever really watch Boiler Room in completion. I've just
Oh,
seen like, I know. For those that are tuned in right now, what's your favorite sales movie? Type it below. What's your favorite sales movie? But the Boiler Room is the one I always wanted to see in full. I mean, I don't even know if you got to get that from a flea market, VHS, you order it. I mean, that thing
I
belongs
think
in a
YouTube,
museum.
just
Yeah,
YouTube.
I
Yeah,
got I
it's
got to give it a
awesome.
shot. Yeah, and another one I did watch was the Glengarry Ross. I watched that those are like the classics, man.
Yeah,
And
put that coffee down.
don't I 100%. That's the favorite part. But I say that to say this, man. Like sales has changed in the last couple of decades, right? Like, what is your outlook? What is your observation of like sales then from movies to actual to now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's really changed as much as people say. I know you always hear like cold calling is dead and all of those things. When it comes to business, at least from that coming from that perspective, I would say it's pretty much stayed the same. I have um, learned some strategies along the way that I think make it a little bit better. Sales has come to a point where, we're in a better situation now than we were 20 years ago. Data is so available. You've got social media, you have all these different tools that we would have dreamed of back then, because we can learn everything about our prospect literally before we reach out to them. So I don't really, but aside from the fact that you just have more to at your fingertips, I wouldn't say sales has really changed all too much. I read a really good book back in, and by the way, I'm a big reader. I don't know if you read, but
I try to. I'm. If you're a big reader, if you enjoy reading, like reading, not just skimming reading, comment below if you're a reader. But there may be a few like me that I'll read a little bit and then I will listen through the Audible or I'm a visual like a YouTube kind of read. But it's just hard for me. Even when I'm on a plane, I'm like my eyes just move so quickly sometimes. But finish what you were saying, like the whole reading. You read a book. I didn't mean
yeah,
to get off
this
track here.
this no, it's fine, it's fine. Actually, I I like to read books about sales. That's probably my favorite, thing topic to study. And one book that just kind of fell into my lap was this book by Aaron Ross. It's called Predictable Revenue. So, quick story: Aaron Ross was, uh, I think he was the sales manager for Salesforce, and this was back before Salesforce became this big, huge company. Well, they were already a decent sized company by who they are today. And he created the system that Salesforce used, which is including the SDR and the account executive model. And
Hmm.
so it was interesting when I read that book. It gave me a lot of perspective. It kind of made me realize some of the things that we were doing wrong in our processes that we could
Hmm.
improve to make more efficient sales, make sales more efficient in our company. So
Hmm.
I think that was really like a defining moment for me, was getting that perspective from something that I kind of already knew. That company that I told you I started at, they had a very similar model,
Hmm.
except for it was kind of a shorter sales process. So we had the TO wave, agent waving a flag, and you'd run over as a
Oh
TO and close the
man.
deal. But
To TO, for those that don't know what that means, give them the official term. What does TO stand for?
takeover,
Oh,
yeah, turnover, yeah. So basically, as an opener, you would have a job of basically getting the person on the phone, gaining the a rapport, getting interest, finding out that they qualify, and then as soon as you know for sure that they are qualified, you want to turn them over to the we were called floor managers, but closer that's going to come in and take the deal to the next level. And because our sales cycle was so short, I mean, really, it was like a 2 call, 3 call close. That process was we had a flag, and we would wave that flag because we had a sea of desks, and you'd see floor
oh
managers
my
running across the room to grab your
gosh.
flag so they can close the deal. Right. In like a boiler room, they yell Reco. it was very similar. But yeah, so the model from predictable revenue is very similar, except for without the flags and all that stuff. You have somebody call, warm them up, get them excited, book them for a Zoom meeting, and then you would bring them into the Zoom meeting, at a later time.
Yeah. So you've inspired me to read, right? And you said you're like a real reader. So I'm going to grab some advice after the episode here. But what I will do is I think what we have in common is I'm a fanatic of the books too. Like I like going through a book and just like seeing it, highlighting it, or keeping it. And maybe call me an obsessive sales book person, but
Oh,
like
nice.
I might have purchased like from outbound book to inbound book to everything, right? Maybe it's all remixed and repurposed, right? And you're like, John, did you get a lot of sales from all those books? So then you get like the new modern way, right? Like all these new
Yes.
styles, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is why I was excited to meet with you. The knowledge is great. I mean, I got tons of books here and I got more here, and you probably got your whole stack there too. The knowledge is great, but the implementation and the process and the system is everything. And sometimes, like me being in sales and taking the profession very seriously, you as well, we miss certain things. And that's what I want to get into right now. So, because times have maybe changed, the date, the year, the process, the system is still the same, right? The goal is still the same. But how does an agency, a marketer, or somebody find the right assistant, SDR? How do you identify the right person, fit person? You know what I'm saying? How do you find the right person in your ecosystem to then invest the time? Could you give us some action things to maybe look for? Like, how do you go about finding that somewhat fit and making it the
Yeah.
perfect?
So, I mean, for me, I'm a big believer in making sure that they have the right attitude because, you know, somebody can have skill, they can have all of the things that you might want them to have on their resume, but if they don't have the right attitude, there's nothing you can do. You can't train attitude. You can't train something like that into somebody. I mean, you can hope for it to develop, but I've always found that it's best to find that. And so when I'm interviewing people, I'm looking for people that have a interest in things that somebody would have a good attitude has. Typically they have some background in the military, or they're interested in sports. They played sports. They're competitive in nature. They work out. Those types of things are going to help you if you have those little things present. They're going to help you find somebody who has the attitude, the winning attitude. And
Yeah.
so,
So,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no. Finish up. Finish strong.
No, no, I was just going to say, and so, if you put something together that is going to attract those individuals, then you're going to already be on top.
You so I'm gonna have to put myself on mute a little bit because you got me charged up here, right?
Okay,
So,
no
and
worries.
I know the audience is charged up too. So right now, what Mark just did, he's reversed engineered for us, identifying the right talent. So go ahead and type below in the chat, reverse engineer talent, right? And if you didn't catch a clue or two that he shared, he said the right attitude, but he basically shared with us, here's what the right attitude looks like. Former military, structured previous roles, love sports, focused, not just the resume, not just the awards, not just the vanity. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. That's so important, man, because we'll go through Indeed, we'll go through ZipRecruiter, we'll go through these traditional sites, hoping we get someone that knows what they're doing because they're a little older recruiting sites. Then we'll spend some money on LinkedIn, right? And then like that won't work out because now it's a bunch of like VAs or people trying to sell us a service instead of hiring a person. Then we'll go on Upwork and we find that to be another, in-depth challenge. So then you give up on looking for the right person and you just try to do it yourself and that flops and then the business doesn't get new revenue.
Yeah, I see it all the time. We work with a lot of agencies, and sometimes they're just getting started on that side of their business with the prospecting. And so they're just like, help. They don't know what to start with. They don't know who to go after. And so, yeah, I see that all the time.
So now, let's just work off of the attitude, right? We get the right attitude. Correct me if I'm wrong. With that right attitude, at the very least, we can build them into our process. And that process is typically having a project management, some calling software, some CRM accountability software, some time trackers, some clear expectations, right? A job description. So all of that's in place. Now let's fast forward here into getting them into onboarding that flow and then starting to book appointments. Because it's always awkward. What I've experienced when I've tried to hire and implement someone into in our ecosystem is, all right, give you a great onboarding and let's get to it. Like, how do you, or what do you, or where do you go with saying like, all right, now it's time to do what you said you could do? How do you go about that without it sounding like a robot?
Yeah. Well, so first off, you're going to hear all different types of, or you're going to hear all different kinds of opinions when it comes to this sort of thing. But I'm a big believer in scripting the conversation as much as possible. So we have our own, opening uh, paragraph, which is basically set to kind of intro what the pain is that we think that they have, because we've done our research, we think we know who we're calling, and we know that they have that pain, and the solution that we've put together, and see if they might be open to solving it. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll script out that intro, and then try to qualify them and get those things done, and then also have rebuttals that are set up in place. So for me, in order to get them to that right situation, what you were talking about, I like to spend a lot of time working on that, the tonality, role playing with them back and forth. I don't want to put them on the phone and just, leave them to their own devices. I really want to spend that time making sure that they sound natural. So we do script everything, and we do spend the time making sure that the way that that presentation is delivered, it sounds like a natural conversation.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's 90 something percent what you say, or sorry, how you say it, not what you say.
Yeah.
And if you get the right tonality and inflection across, it's going to be a much better conversation.
Yeah. So, so again, someone might say, oh, I don't want a script. But what I believe you're saying, what I'm perceiving, what I'm understanding is they don't have to read the script word for word. They just have to use it as the foundation. Then they insert their personality, their style, their knowledge, and what you go as you go.
I mean, again, that's
Because
the
you
thing.
prefaced it with the opinion.
Yeah, yeah, there's opinions out there, and I some not everybody's very creative, and or somebody who I would trust with just being creative and saying and doing whatever they want. I try to give them something that they can say for every certain circumstance. Now, when I'm not like saying you have to say it word for word, but you have to say exactly what my idea is, and you can change it up. But I want you even to script it. Look, I'm I hire somebody. We used to have a saying. We'd say, "We hired you to read the script, not to write it." And
Yeah, we make it easy for you.
right. I'm even myself after 20 something years on the phone. I still don't jump into a call without a script, and I will do much better when I have something that I can follow along with, and making sure that I don't get off track, because it's super easy. You start thinking, and next thing you know, you're in Pluto. So I'm just a big believer on having something, not just a framework, but something that you have to follow.
Absolutely. So let's just pivot here a little bit,
Sure.
because you're very humble and reserved about it, and you wanted to give more. You have your style, and that's what I enjoyed talking to you offline. So because of your passion with sales, and over the last couple of years, decade or so, you've been in software development of creating processes and apps and things to help sales professionals. Because right, you've been there, done that. So you have an app in our marketplace. called Hot Prospector. It serves many different things, but I want to touch on two things that are important that'll lead us into the taking care of the agency, right? But before I do that, to wrap up this topic around onboarding and booking appointments, the question that comes up a lot is what's the right expectation of appointment set within the first 30 days? So, specifically for an agency, they bring on a SDR, sales development representative, a business development representative, an appointment setter, or a VA that plays a hybrid. What's like a fair appointment count for digital marketing services or SaaS to just get the conversation to be continued by an expert?
So for me, it's quality over quantity. I would much rather you book one solid appointment on my calendar every single day for somebody who has the ability to buy versus you put me on the phone with just anybody that's going to fog a mirror, right? They're just willing to have a conversation. There's plenty of tire kickers out there. So to find the real quality people, I personally don't like to just focus on how many appointments. It's the number of deals that we get out of those appointments. But to answer your question, on average, I would say we probably expect about 22 appointments per month from a SDR.
Yeah, I was thinking about that same too, and when I've had the opportunity of serving in sales organizations where we went from in person door to door knocking on doors to then COVID kicked in, we went virtual. The SDR BDR was about 20 to 25 appointments with some spiffs and some bonuses if they're after, and then out of 20 or 15 20 appointments, what do you look for you as a conversion to close or or up to a closing step?
Yeah, so we have a sales playbook and we follow our sales playbook, and the methodologies that are in that playbook is something that we literally drill down as much as possible into our SDRs. So it's all about that culture. So our numbers are you should have an 85% show rate on your appointments. If you're not hitting an 85% show rate, then we're working towards, you know, why those appointments aren't showing up. And then the close rate on those should be 27%. So 85%, 27%, those are our numbers. So if you had 22 appointments, you could do the math.
So type below, do you have a process? Do you have a playbook? Do you have a playbook established for your sales process? If yes, type yes. If no, type in, I want more info. Let us know if you want more info on a playbook or guidance, right? Do you have an SDR or an appointment setter in your business now focusing on this in your business? Let us know below. So to go ahead here, we find the right talent by attitude. We train them, give them an understanding. We get them on the phone. We get them making calls. We set the goal of about 15 to 20 appointments set on the calendar. We look for about 20%, 80% show rate, 20% close rate, depending on the collaboration and all that good stuff. Those numbers could shift. But where are we? How are we? Like, are we just giving them like a phone of their own? Are we giving them like how are we dialing out? So could you tell me a little bit on how you use your app, Hot Prospector, to incorporate your playbook? And then how do you hold everybody accountable and fair?
Yeah, for sure. So Hot Prospector is an app that we've built really for ourselves right out the beginning of our agency to help us get in front of more prospects. And over the years, taking all of the different things that we had needed that wasn't available in other tools, we built out a really robust system that gives us not just a simple, easy tool for the salesperson to be able to get in front of more people, have more conversations, but also to provide the manager with all of the resources that they need to identify potential coaching opportunities with that agent, whether it be helping them with hitting their KPIs, the metrics that we're expecting them to hit, or even monitoring their calls live, so that way we can hear how they're presenting. If they're in a call, we can take over the call and help them set that
Hmm.
appointment that they might have missed, or even go back in time from yesterday's calls and look at some, transcripts using AI to identify opportunities for coaching in that regard. So
So, so help me understand this and just make sure I'm understanding this clearly. I'm a Go High Level user. I use Go High Level as my software. I don't like to go outside of it. I want to keep everything consolidated. I use Twilio. I want my phone numbers. I want to have control of my phone numbers. My email, I want control of my email. Do I have to go out of High Level to use Hot Prospector?
So Hot Prospector is a tool that can be embedded right inside of your HighLevel using the iframe, and we connect natively within the HighLevel marketplace. So all of the aspects of your HighLevel, from your custom fields to your tags to your notes, messaging, it's all inside that one tool. So you don't feel like you're moving from tool to tool, and everything that happens inside of Hot Prospector happens in HighLevel and vice versa.
Impressive. Here's the $1 million question. Are you a developer by trade? Is this why you created? Because you love developing products? Like, why did you create your own, invest in your own instead of just buying something that was in the market? Like, what was the gap?
That's a good question. There are a lot of tools out there, but when we started developing our tool, there wasn't really anything out there that hit the mark. Now there are a lot of other impressive tools out there that, I think are great, but nothing really that is designed specifically for the agency. Hot Prospector was built to make HighLevel and your agency more effective at speed to lead, so you can convert those leads. And that, is the biggest thing as an agency, especially for agencies. If you have a lot of clients, their biggest problem is they drop the ball on reaching out to their leads. They don't call them fast enough, they don't call them often enough, they give up too soon. And so, if you're offering a service to reach out to those leads, it's very difficult to do within, switching all of those sub accounts. So Hot Prospector was designed to bring all of those things together inside one area, so you could make calls for hundreds of clients if you wanted, messages, everything right there inside of one app without having to switch around.
All right. So, and not to put you on the spot here, right?
Sure.
Not to put you on the spot, but I'm just gonna ask this, and because I want to make sure I heard it right. What you're saying to me is that if I had a service, let's say I was an agency, that my job was just to book appointments for my customers. So I'm an agency that does booking of calls. You work with med spas. I'm an expert in talking to med spa owner operators. I set you up in my HighLevel with Hot Prospector in there. All your sub accounts show up, and I don't have to personally swap sub accounts and all these.
Yeah.
I just go through one screen.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you inside your HighLevel, you would have access to a dialer where all of your sub accounts information can be housed in that one screen without changing, without doing anything. And the thing about Hot Prospector that makes it so powerful for an agency that's working towards speed to lead is that we put speed to lead at the top of the priority. And I haven't seen another system that does this. When a new lead comes in, if you're dialing through your queue of leads, you could be halfway, let's say, through a list of 1,000 leads. But if a new lead comes in, it's automatically going to be the next lead that's dialed. So if you're dialing for your clients, then you know how important that is. So it's every single time a new lead comes in, you're calling that next, then you go back to the cadence that you've set. And then that's the other thing, setting up a true cadence where you can follow up on a lead 2 or 3 times in that same day without, you can fully control how often you're reaching out to those leads.
Wow. Well, you heard it. I mean, we just unpacked it. I'm thankful that Mark was open about this, because he's like, look, man, I don't want it to come off like I'm trying to sell something here. Like, I just love what I do. I love sales. And I said, well, Mark, people need help with sales. People are spending tons of money, thousands of dollars on these random programs that are out there, manual processes. They don't connect with HighLevel. They don't. It's like having. It's like what we preach here at HighLevel, all in one. You just made this part of the all in one. So thank you for being open to discuss it. I know you have a couple of offers and a couple of different details and guides and processes. You said you were going to provide me a link. We're going to attach that link in the YouTube. We're going to attach that link in the YouTube description. So find this video on the YouTube HighLevel, on the Go HighLevel YouTube. It'll be in the description, and there'll be a bunch more information. Let's just call it what it is. If you are an agency owner or marketer or someone who is looking to really structure and not get taken advantage of, it sounds like you use Go HighLevel. It sounds like you do a little research on Hot Prospector, see how it implements. You're going to use the data to track and measure the conversion. You're going to have tight reporting. You're going to have a community, and you know all of this is just being curious. So, wow, unpacked a lot, man. If we had another hour or two, we'd probably get into more. Mark, take us home.
Yeah, well, again, I really appreciate you guys having me out here today. This has been a lot of fun. HighLevel has been an amazing community to learn from. We have a very similar way of working with our customers as HighLevel does, where we listen to you, and our goal is always to implement the things that you need to improve your business. So, I'm really looking forward to learning more. That is what drives me and makes me continue to do what I do. So thanks again for having us here.
Look, y'all, find Mark online, add him, reach out to him, check out the app in the marketplace, Hot Prospector. If you have any questions, Mark's going to be on here for a little bit, just looking at some of the questions and comments. Jot them down. Mark, thank you for hanging out with us. Appreciate you sharing your story, your enthusiasm, your knowledge, your expertise. To our audience, as always, if you're brand new to the ecosystem, you haven't heard of HighLevel, you somehow found us because you searched something, go ahead and get yourself a free trial. Click below for a free trial link to experience it. Look into what we just talked about in this episode and make sure you take action. Mark, till next time, I'll see you. To our audience, we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Thank you. See you.